Brenda was an advocate, reclaiming the narrative of Tupac's Brenda's Got a Baby. Tupac Shakur's iconic song, Brenda's Got a Baby, tells the harrowing story of a 12-year-old girl impregnated by her cousin, cast out by her family, and left to navigate the world alone. The song ends with Brenda discarding her newborn child, leading to her own tragic demise. For decades, the narrative has been framed as a cautionary tale of lost innocence, poverty, and systemic failure. But what if Brenda wasn't a victim in the moral sense, but an advocate in the material one? What if Brenda, constrained by her environment and denied access to care, was expressing a form of protest that today might be called reproductive justice? Brenda's actions, while horrifying on the surface, stem from a profound awareness. She understood the world was not fit for her or her baby. She recognized, in a way few children ever have to, that giving birth in a society that hated her, her body, and her child was not a blessing, it was a sentence. Her decision to discard the baby is better understood not as murder, but as a desperate refusal to perpetuate the cycle of pain she had been born into. She didn't hate her child, she hated what the world would do to it. The narrative of Brenda is one of a girl with no options. The community offered her no support, no resources, and no future. There was no access to Plan B, no safe haven laws advertised in her school or clinic, and no meaningful adults advocating for her survival. What Brenda needed was not judgment, but choices. A reproductive health system that treated her with care, an abortion pill available early, and postpartum protection if she chose to deliver. In this light, Brenda becomes a tragic hero of the abortion rights movement. She is not the cautionary tale anti choice groups warn about. She is the warning that they choose to ignore. Brenda wanted out. Out of her pregnancy, out of her trauma, out of her family's silence. Her story is not a lesson in morality, it is a call to action. Her act of placing her baby in a trash can, as horrific as it sounds, was her last form of protest against a world that had already discarded her. Tupac, intentionally or not, captured the intersectional violence of Brenda's reality. She was black, female, poor, underage, and sexually abused. 5 layers of vulnerability that the system systematically failed to protect. Yet Brenda's internal logic was clear. She understood that keeping the baby would not magically bring healing or hope. She recognized the resentment in her community, the derision in her peers, and the fear in herself. Her story is not senseless, it's a systemic verdict. What if Brenda had known about the abortion pill? What if her school nurse, teacher, or neighbor had made her aware of emergency contraception or early abortion care? What if she had access to a Planned Parenthood that welcomed her with compassion? Brenda might have lived. Her baby might have never had to die. And we would be telling a different story today. Not of a girl who threw away her baby, but of a girl who claimed her autonomy. The cruel irony is that society expected Brenda to be a mother before it allowed her to be a child. She was denied girlhood and simultaneously judged for not performing womanhood correctly. Had she chosen to keep the baby, she would have been blamed for its poverty. Had she given it up, she'd be called ungrateful. Every choice was branded with shame. The problem was never Brenda. The problem was that no one helped her. Her family turned away. The state turned a blind eye. The schools and clinics and churches that should have embraced her with care either ignored her or condemned her. Brenda's community failed her, and her story is the proof. In today's political climate, where abortion access is increasingly under attack, Brenda's story remains more relevant than ever. We must stop seeing girls like Brenda as cautionary tales and start seeing them as moral indictments of our broken system. Brenda's despair was logical. Her fear was justified. Her decision, while tragic, was rational in a world that offered no kindness to her or her baby. Brenda should be remembered not as a girl who threw away a life, but as a girl who was denied the right to choose. She understood better than most adults that to bring a baby into poverty, rape, trauma, and neglect is not inherently noble. It is often cruel. She wanted an abortion or something like it, and the fact that she had to simulate one with a garbage chute is the true crime. This interpretation of Brenda is not about glorifying violence, it's about understanding context. Brenda was not free. She was not supported, and so she resisted the only way she knew how. Her rebellion was tragic, yes, but it was also deeply feminist in its defiance of a world that demanded she suffer silently. In 2025, as reproductive rights are stripped and teenage pregnancy is once again criminalized, Brenda's legacy must be reclaimed. Her story should be taught not as a warning, but as a rallying cry. Let her be a symbol of every girl denied care, every child forced into motherhood, every body treated like a burden. Brenda is not the villain of this story. She is its prophet. She saw the future, and she knew it was no place for her child. We owe it to her to make sure no girl ever has to make that choice again.